Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Black Mirror Season 4. It's not very often I'll say that and not give you a specific episode, because this is going to be our ranked video, where we're going to rank these 6 episodes of Black Mirror. We've each got our own order. We've each went away, picked what our favourite episodes are, what our least favourite episode is, and we're going to count down from number 6 down to number 1 what our favourite episodes are. They might match up quite heavily, they might diversify.
And I imagine afterwards we'll have a bit of a discussion on how we found the season as a whole. It's usually where these things go.
Yeah, I think we'll rank the seasons as well before we wrap up.
Oh God, I haven't thought about that. So you haven't given me any warning.
I've thought about it. I'm ready to go.
Well, I'm not. So you can give yours at least.
Nah. Just by talking about it, you're going to end up having your own order. It's going to happen.
But we'll see.
It'll happen. Well, if you don't, then mine's is just fact, and it's taken as gospel. And that's the official almost
it's
cancelled
gospel
order.
as your opinion.
It's the official almost cancelled list of season ranking, if you don't give one. With no competition.
That's not how this works. We're doing individual opinions here.
No. So we're going to do this. We did this last year for season 3. We're doing it again this year. We will keep these spoiler free, at least for now. Maybe when we get towards the end of the video, we might break spoilers if we want to compare some specific things. But I think we'll generally keep it spoiler free, so that folk who have not watched this season maybe want to watch this as a review of the season as a whole. What are the better episodes to jump into, that kind of thing. So, without further ado, what's your number 6, Connor?
My number 6 is Archangel. Is this what's your number? Because if you've got the same one, we can have a proper discussion.
I do not have the same one.
Oh, you don't? Interesting. Okay, I think this is still a decent episode in general. I don't think this season has any actual, outright bad episodes in the way I've felt in the past about other seasons. But it's just lacking ultimately. It's fine, but it doesn't really have the impact.
My number 6 is Crocodile.
Okay.
I think this is the least successful episode of the season, because it actually whiffs on all the things that it's trying to make you feel.
Yeah.
Every time it wants you to feel shocked or it wants you to feel tense, it just kind of is nothing, because you don't care about the character. And I feel like there's some good filmmaking, of course. There are some good elements to it. There's some good ideas sprinkled in there. But ultimately, it fails in actually making you feel what it's trying to make you feel. And if it's failing to do that, then it's a dud of an episode. I would outright call this a weak episode of the show.
So no, there's a difference between a weak episode of the show and a bad episode of TV.
It's murky enough that I wouldn't recommend it. So therefore, if you want to call it bad, you can call it bad.
All right, fair enough. Crocodile is my number 5. Interestingly enough, I agree with everything you said there, but I think ultimately I like the ideas that it's doing more than Archangel still. So even if it doesn't succeed on them, I don't think either of them truly succeed in their ideas, though. I think this one's more interesting to watch, even on just a filmmaking level. So I find it more enjoyable, at least because of that.
Well, my number 5 is Archangel, which is why I didn't really say much about it.
I thought it might be.
Yeah, I think I put Archangel slightly above Crocodile, because Crocodile, I can very specifically see what Crocodile is reaching for. I can see the hoop that it's trying to dunk the ball into, and it's just missing. It's whiffing, and the ball's, hitting someone in the stands at the side. It's not hitting the net. Whereas Archangel, I feel like it's at least doing something a little bit different than other episodes. I feel like it feels a bit more, I don't want to say original, but it feels like it's got its own twist and things. I feel like at least the themes of the obsessive mother is something that's a little bit different, perhaps.
Yeah, I think it's funny. You say, "Oh, I can see what Crocodile's reaching for, but it misses." I think that's why I put it above Archangel, because ultimately, Archangel feels a bit like it doesn't quite know what it's going for by the end of the episode.
No,
whereas Crocodile did; it just failed.
I agree with that. I prefer the opportunity of ideas in Archangel, because there's lots of things that it could have went, and admittedly it doesn't take any of them. We talked about that a lot in the review, about how it could have went this way with the technology, it could have went that way with the technology, and it ultimately just avoids doing a lot of it. But at least there's possibilities. With Crocodile, I feel like I know exactly what you're trying to do, and you're failing, and that bothers me more because I can see the success. They're both bad episodes by Black Mirror standards, but for me personally, the much worse thing to watch is something just failing at what it's trying to do. That is way more frustrating for me to watch.
It's definitely more frustrating, yeah.
And I don't want to feel frustration. I'd rather feel ambivalence than frustration.
See, I like being angry, so...
Because it wasn't boring. Archangel wasn't boring, because there's a difference between ambivalence and boring.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because I was still kind of into some of the ideas and what it was doing. And it doesn't really become clear that it's kind of whiffing on its idea until the last, 10 minutes. Because you keep thinking it's going to go somewhere, and then it doesn't. So, it wasn't, disappointing the whole time. There kept being the opportunity, it just never kind of lands. Whereas Crocodile, as soon as it gets to, the second or third scene, it starts to feel like it's failing at what it's doing. I was feeling the failure the whole time.
Okay.
So...
that's fair enough.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. We had a dispute at 5 and 6. So let's see. Do we share number 4? I've gone with Metalhead.
I have also gone with Metalhead.
After that, I thought we might agree on these. I think the top 3, I'd have no idea where you've gone with, but this one I was confident on. I think because we both felt this was a solid episode of, it was great filmmaking. It was a great mood piece, but ultimately didn't have as much of a message as other episodes.
It's exactly a mid-piece. I don't even mind that it doesn't have a message. Because not everything I like has messages. I mean,
no, I feel like though it's a. Usually I wouldn't have that criticism, but with Black Mirror, I think it's a criticism.
I don't necessarily think it's a criticism. If it's a good episode, if I care about the characters, I won't care that it doesn't have a message.
Okay.
I'm actually kind of completely okay with that. My problem with Metalhead is that the character stuff is really thin, to the point where it ultimately doesn't even amount to anything in terms of a story per se. It's purely
character and plot, yeah.
Yeah, it's purely just about the chase, and I like that well enough, and it's well done, and I enjoyed the episode. Unlike Archangel and Crocodile, I'd actually be up for watching this again, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good thing to watch and enjoy the tension.
Yeah, I enjoyed the suspense. I enjoyed all that stuff, and unlike Crocodile, in this case, that's actually kind of enough because it's purely a chase. It's purely a simple A is chasing B is trying her hardest to survive. And there's lots of these little survival elements. It's post-apocalyptic. There's a lot of cool visuals, cool ideas in that sense, but it's very simple. And because of that, the simplicity actually kind of lends itself to being entertaining.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that.
Whereas Crocodile is not simple. Because it has to work, there's a lot of convoluted things that have to kind of work together to get to the point.
Definitely.
So, number 4 is Metalhead. There you go. What's your number 3?
I've gone with Hang the DJ.
Okay.
Okay, so you haven't. So for me, I think this is a very good episode. This top half of the season, I think, are all very good episodes. This one, I think, compared to the other two that I have, suffers by being too similar to a previous episode. In the same way that you can say about Crocodile, it's kind of going through the motions. This succeeds much more than Crocodile, but it suffers in comparison to the episode that it's like, because the other one is just so much better, in my opinion.
Name the episode. Don't be vague.
I was trying to be vague in case someone hasn't seen it and doesn't want to know what to expect from it yet. But okay, fine. If we're going out and just saying it, it's trying to be San Junipero, but it's just not as good.
It's this season's San Junipero, yeah. I don't think that's a spoiler per se to say its intentions are to give you a similar episode to that. I'll save my words for it.
Yeah.
My number 3 is Black Museum. And this is a good episode. I think it's got a lot of good ideas. It's an anthology within an anthology. It's fun for Easter eggs because it's got all these different things that connect it to other episodes in fun little ways. I think it suffers a little bit just from being a touch bloated. It's a fairly long episode. There's a lot of meat in there. I think it's an episode that's great for ideas. It's very entertaining. This is almost a bizarre thing to say, but it's almost a fluffier episode, even though it's full of complex ideas.
Yeah.
It's very I'm trying to think of something to compare it to in terms of the feel of it, compared to other episodes. It's not this like focused, like kind of like tense drama. It's more, here's the like.
It's not really like any other episodes, is it?
No, it's more of like a showcase of different smaller ideas that all kind of form one big idea, and it's very satisfying in that sense. But of course, naturally, with any anthology, and we've seen this with ranking the episodes, is that the stories within the anthology of this episode, they vary. Like, some are better than others.
Some are better than others, yeah, of course.
You really like this one, and then this one's pretty good, but not as great, and then this other one's great. It's a very showy episode, which, for the most part, I think works. But I do think that some of the big twists that come later on in the episode, like, they're fine, they work, but they don't blow me away.
Yeah.
I feel like I like talking about the episode. I liked a lot of the stuff in it. I think there was a lot of entertainment. But is it 3? I sound like I'm trying to be more negative than positive. It's just because I'm comparing it to 2 and 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think ultimately the emotional connection isn't as strong here because it is more of like a case study in wackiness.
I agree with that, 'cause obviously you've only got 2 episodes left, so
Yeah.
I don't know which order you've got them in, but I know what they are, and I agree the emotions in this are definitely not in the same level as those others.
And emotion for me usually trumps other things in stories.
That's fair.
Not always. I'm sure there's examples where I like something that's got no emotion but is purely great plot or whatever, but
Yeah.
emotions usually trump the other stuff.
That makes sense.
What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Black Museum, actually. And just to not counter necessarily a few of your points, but to present why I prefer it more than you do, clearly. You said it was a bit bloated. I get why people think that. I see it's long, but I actually found it went in so quickly when I watched it. Like, it just went in because I think it's so enjoyable to watch. It's very much a greatest hits episode. It's like, here's a bunch of smaller ideas and, let's do that. And I really appreciate that about it. What else did you just say there at the end? What was your last point? I know, I was trying to keep track as I went through. I was doing the first ones first. What was your final point on it?
Final twist, not being like amazingly hard hitting.
No, the emotions. That was what it was.
There you go.
And you're usually I agree. Yeah, emotions over other stuff. And Hang the DJ, which obviously I had at 3, was it did land its emotions better.
Yeah.
But I had more fun watching this. Absolutely, I can't argue with that. And sometimes that's enough for me. And here it is.
Okay. I think typically I just always prefer like a focused story that's one big thing rather than.
Usually I do
chunks.
as well, actually. But this here, it was the way it was presented, the way it was narrated, really kind of kept the piece going.
The narrator's really engaging. Like he's quite good. Like everyone in it's good. Like there's no weak links in terms of that. When we do horror movies and Screams After Midnight, Tim's like a big anthology fan. He loves anthology movies, and I don't dislike anthology movies, but I never look forward to them that much because I always know, like, okay, I'll really like 1 or 2 of the stories probably, but there's going to be the other 3 or 4 that I'm going to be like, there's varying degrees of meh to bad. I'm never enthusiastic about them in a movie like that. That doesn't translate to anthology shows though, because they each their own individual thing, and I don't have to watch them back to back. Actually, that's one of the worst things about anthology movies is that it gets like, oh, I've just finished a story, time to get up. Oh no, there's another one playing. Okay, I guess I'll just.
That's it. I like anthologies when they're connected by a central thread, because often they're not. They're just kind of, here's one thing, here's another. Oh, here's another thing.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen Southbound. That's maybe one to check out if you want a connected.
Okay, that
thread.
was on my radar. I didn't realize that was a connected thread. And very much here, this is like we said, there's a narrator. It's telling a story. It kind of all comes together in various ways, and that's part of why I enjoy it.
Yeah. Okay. My number 2 is Hang the DJ. So. Yeah, I mean, you basically said it for me, but the emotion is kind of the big thing here. I feel like I connect with these characters. I care about what happens to them in this episode. I'm rooting for them throughout the episode, which is something that I don't think I can say about any of the characters in any of the episodes we've mentioned so far. Because
very carefully worded, but I agree.
But because Black Museum, like, is a lot of fun, and obviously there's good characters and bad characters in that, but I don't feel like I ever got to know the good characters well enough to really be rooting for their cause.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm not. You're inherently rooting for them because they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
but not because of anything they do in particular or who they are.
And in this episode, while it is clearly trying to be the San Junipero season 4, and while I think it's weaker than San Junipero, I do think it kind of nails being this season's version of it in a really satisfying way, where it is a fulfilling episode. I like the characters. Again, I like the ideas that it's playing with. And I think it has a lot to say, not only about the technology that it's presenting you with, but just about relationships in general.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And just the stigmas, the do's and don'ts, and those kind of things of when you're trying to find a partner, like all those things. Like, I feel like it really has a lot of things to say about that, and I think they mostly land for me as well. So, but mostly I like the characters. So that's the big thing. I like the characters, and I cared about them, and I cared about what they were wanting in the episode.
No, that's it. I think just what we'll go. The only other reason I'd say I put Black Museum above Hang the DJ is because you said that it's trying to be this season's San Junipero, and it is this season's San Junipero. It's not trying to be that. It is. But Black Museum is unlike anything else that I've had from Black Mirror, so it's like, this is new. I like this. This is doing something different.
Yeah, I think it's funny. Look at it. Look at Black Museum. I feel like the first story feels really unique to me. The second story is relatively unique, but it's actually almost hurt by the presence of a movie that happened this year that it made me think of.
Right. Okay. Yeah. You mentioned that in the review.
Yeah. And then,
which I've not seen that movie, so I didn't have that color in my mind.
And then the third story, or the resolution to everything, wasn't a million miles away from something like White Bear. In terms of thematics.
No, you're right. I think that's something that we'll get to in the season discussion properly. But there's a lot of familiar ideas in this season.
There is, yeah. So number one, obviously for both of us, because we've both not mentioned it, is USS Callister, which is almost a bit of a shame. Again, it bugs me that the first one we watched was the favourite because it never got better.
It didn't, but I have to. The thing is, Hang the DJ's right in the middle, and Black Museum's right at the end.
Yeah,
so I never felt like I was cheated at the end, even though the first one was my favourite.
There's some truth to that. I think USS Callister is just inherently a good time because it's doing all the Star Trek spoofing stuff and you've got arguably the best cast.
Oh, absolutely!
I think
Kristen Milotti is the standout of the season.
Oh, she's fantastic. And I love that it starts off where you think someone else, you think Fat Damon's the protagonist, and it kind of switches to her past a certain point. It's playing with cool tech ideas. It's got that Black Mirror thing where you don't really know until about 15, 20 minutes into it what the episode's really about. Like, it's kind of teasing you with these other ideas, and then it's like...
Yeah.
But you don't feel unfulfilled because you're like, okay, you're waiting for it to drop. When's the other shoe dropping? And then it hits you with, oh, that's what this is. And it goes down a darker path than you expected, but it's still actually very funny, which I think I appreciate.
It is. It's got a real nice balance. It's also the longest episode of the season, but it utilizes every minute of it. This feels like a movie for the most part. Like, a lot of them, okay, they're TV episodes. They're maybe a little bit longer here and there, but they're still TV. This one, no. This one felt like a movie, especially with the special effects going on.
And I actually think it's one of the most distinct looking. I think this and Metalhead were the two I anticipated the most because they looked so different to normal episodes of Black Mirror. And Metalhead visually was still really impressive. I still really liked that for those visuals, but this one just came together in lots of different ways. It went down paths that I wasn't not expecting. It became a very unique plot that I don't think I've seen done too much. I mean, I'm sure there's probably a movie somewhere that's had a similar kind of idea, but at least, like, I don't even want to compare it to anything when we're in spoiler-free territory because, things... I've actually got one more point I want to make about this at the end, and I'll do a little spoiler bit at the end because I want to...
I have something as well, actually.
Just an interesting little point I want to make that I didn't ever mention. It was just because I've had time to think about it since we watched it. But yeah, USS Callister, number one episode for both of us.
Yeah, fantastic.
Which is interesting because we actually agreed last year, and last year there was a good chance last year we wouldn't have agreed because there were two standout episodes that we both loved.
There was two that were very hard to place between 1 and 2, and I'm amazed we came down in the same order. And
it could have been very easily went the other way, but there you go. So that is our ranked episodes for season 4. I'll give my ranking first because I feel like if I talk about how I feel compared to season 3 and the seasons as a whole, it's really obvious how I'm going to rank them after. So I'll rank the seasons first. Okay. All right. You can tell me how much you agree or disagree with said ranking. I'm just going to start number 1. I'm not going to build this because there's only 4 things to rank. It's weird. Yeah. But I think season 3 is the best season. Season 3 is number 1. I think season 1 is the second best. then it comes hard. I think season 2 and 4 I feel like are the harder ones to actually place, mainly because I feel like they're both, they have kind of proportionate lukewarm elements in them. I think season 2 for me, like, it has one great standout episodes, and then 2 that I don't love that much. And I know
Which one do you love?
I love White Bear. I know I'm in the minority on Be Right Back. But
Oh, I love that episode.
I don't hate it, but I don't love that episode. For me, that's like kind of like with Archangel in terms of quality.
Oh God.
And Waldo Effect, no one really likes that much, I don't think. So
No. Do you know what? I remember fighting you on Be Right Back at the time, because I remember you being a bit more down on it than me.
I like the idea. Do you know it was like her? I liked it.
Yeah.
I said this at the time. I liked it when it was kind of like her, and then as soon as they introduced an actual physical thing, I was like, okay, I'm kind of like, this is kind of goofy now. I'm not feeling it. But again, sometimes ideas will just not strike you. Sometimes something about the idea will just be like, I'm not really into this as an idea.
It's funny that that's the only one Brooker's not involved in any way. He has no writing credit on that episode.
Exactly, some hack wrote that episode, so clearly.
Yeah, I can't remember who, but it wasn't Brooker. So, and obviously here he hasn't wrote every episode on his own, but he's always had a co-writing episode on every other episode.
Ah, yeah, of course.
At the very least.
That's absolutely fine. I'm down with that. So it's hard to compare the two. I think by default I almost have to put 4 at number 3, then 2 in last place, just purely because there's double the episodes in 4, so there's more episodes I like, even though I think the actual ratio of like to bad is kind of similar. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does.
I think, and I think what's weird about this is, for me at least, they've set up this thing kind of like the Star Trek movies, where the odds and evens kind of almost dictate the quality, where the odd-numbered seasons I think are the best seasons, easily, and then the even-numbered seasons I think are a bit more hit and miss.
Okay.
Not that season 3 didn't have a bad episode, because it did, but...
It did have the one bad episode, yes.
But in my opinion, it still has the 2 best episodes of the entire show.
Yeah, and screw Hate in the Nation.
And screw Hate in the Nation. I mean, do you agree that
that's down there with Waldo for me.
Oh yeah, I prefer Waldo. I'd put Hate the Nation under Waldo.
I'd have to think about it, but it's down there.
But here's a question: would you agree that nothing this season was better than either San Junipero or Shut Up and Dance?
I would probably say Callister is probably my third favorite.
I can see that.
It's up there, but I don't think it's quite as good as those two.
I'd have to think about it. I mean, I did propose to Connor to rank all the episodes, and he said no. Otherwise, I'd have thought about this. And
if I'd watched them a bit more recently, then maybe. If you'd said this after season 3, when we'd kind of gone through them all recently, I could have done it there and then. But now it's been time, and these are all fresh, so it doesn't work in my mind the same way.
I feel like you get USS Callister, you got the 3 season 1 episodes, you got White Bear, you've got the first 2 of season 3, kind of tail, kind of.
Yeah, see, this
around.
Is the thing. I can tell you which ones I liked and which ones I didn't, but it's really hard for me to say, all right, did I like White Bear more or less than Be Right Back? Because I watched them, we watched them within a few days of each other, I think.
Of course you did, because it's a better episode.
See, this is the thing. I don't know if it is. I don't know if I agree with that, because it might be. I might think that, but I'd have to really sit and think about it and go through those episodes in my head.
So clearly what I'm saying here is that if I'm comparing season 4 to season 3, is the 2 Netflix seasons with both 6 episodes. I enjoy White Christmas, by the way. We didn't mention that at all in that, because obviously it's not part of a season, but
yeah.
So I definitely think season 4 was not as good as 3. I think the bar was generally a little bit lower, and I think season 3 as well. Like, you had a solid premiere with Nosedive, you had another solid episode with Playtest, and then you went up to 2 of the best episodes ever, and it dipped a bit after that. Sure, of course it did. Basically Nosedive.
I think this season ended stronger than season 3 did.
I would agree with that, but I think it never hit the heights.
It didn't, and it was less consistent for sure.
And I feel like, as much as I appreciate Metalhead, maybe more than some people do, some people think it's the worst of the season, I do feel like, yeah, I'd sort of put it in the pack of, like, okay, less than great episodes. Therefore, season 3 gave me 4 solid where I had no disappointments, and then it wasn't only till then where 5 was kind of shit, and then 6 wasn't bad, but it wasn't like anything special either. It was kind of just a fun B romp.
Yeah. I like 6. It's fun, but
yeah. To get what I did there with
over long, if I recall.
Yeah, it was like 90 minutes. Get B movie, B romp.
I got it.
Yeah.
There was passing over it.
That episode was about bees, people. It was about killer bees, robot
Look,
bees.
Look, I will tolerate some puns, but I will never tolerate bee puns after Arrow. Not after that. They're ruined. No one's allowed to do them anymore. Stop it. Stop thinking of one.
Don't be unbelievable.
I'm going.
You're really reacting beyond the realm of acceptable emotions.
I'll punch something in a minute.
Okay, I better stop before you get too angry.
Yeah, bloody hard.
Oh,
Bee puns are the line, people.
Ah, God. I'll have a good bee pun. So how are you feeling about season 4 overall compared to season 3?
I think these are the two that are the easiest to compare with them both being on Netflix. They're both the
Yeah.
same amount of episodes, so the expectations are the same. And also, those are the ones that I watched as they came out. So, has that going for it. I feel like 3 is definitely better. I think it is. I think, like I say, it's got 2 that are the best episodes of the show, and then 2 that are very good, and then one that is worse than anything in this season, for sure. But this, I think, this has 2 episodes that are pretty similar. Like, Hang the DJ and Black Museum are very close to me. USS Callister is a notch above those 2. Metalhead is lower, but I still enjoy it. Whereas, Crocodile and Archangel, okay, they're not so good.
I love how you
comparatively.
fought me so hard on which one of those was last place, but ultimately you don't really like either of them.
I think both of them are fine. Like, I could watch either of them again. Like, they're
Okay.
not bad enough that I go, oh, I never want to see that again. If I'm watching through the whole show, I'll probably still put them on. Like, I won't necessarily skip them, but I definitely don't like them as much as anything else in the season.
I'll think I'll watch those 2 again. I feel like those will be easy skips when the time comes. I feel like as a season, it's got some good episodes, but it doesn't have the standout episodes like last year did.
I think a problem is I might end up in the future saying I prefer USS Callister even more than I do now, because at the minute it was okay. No, this is the first episode. Where can we go from here? And then it never went any higher than that. So it's like, okay, that's a little bit disappointing because of that. Whereas in Future I know what it is, and I'm not hoping for more afterwards. I might enjoy it even more with what it is.
I think they made a mistake putting that first, actually.
I do as well, because I think that's what I'm saying. I think I went into it and went, oh, that was really good. I really like that. That was excellent. What else have they got for me? And nothing else kind of matched it. So
Whereas last year, arguably, it kept inclining until 4.
Yeah.
And you kept being more enthusiastic after each episode until you hit 5. But at that point, you had 4 solid episodes that you didn't even care if 5 and 6 were terrible.
Yeah, and by the time you got through 5, you're like, well, there's only one left.
Yeah. Whereas here it was like, oh, great episode, not so hot episode. Oh, not so hot episode again. Oh, that was pretty good. This wasn't as great. Oh, and then this was better. So it was, as much as you could say it's more consistent because they were paced out, it actually made it feel worse going through them. Because
I get what you're saying. The order is less consistent.
Because the motivation went down much quicker earlier in the season.
I think I would have started with Black Museum and had all these things that were Easter eggs in the museum. I'd have had them be things to look forward to instead of things that you'd seen already.
Okay.
So I think I would have started with that one and probably put USS Callister last and swapped them around.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if I'd put Callister last, but I can definitely see the argument for the museum first.
Well, I don't know what else I'd put last, you see, because I think Crocodile, assuming that it had done what it was supposed to do, I think was in the right place, in the middle, where you've got something to come after it. Which, and by its nature, I think that Hang the DJ is in the right place as well because of that.
Okay.
Archangel and Metalhead, I feel like, you could swap them. I think Metalhead's where it is so it doesn't scare anyone away. I think it's because, like I said, by the time you've got through 5 of them, you're like, well, there's only one more. And you kind of know what you're getting.
I mean, I still had a good time. I still want more Black Mirror. I'm still looking forward to more Black Mirror. But this was
Absolutely.
definitely overall a weaker season than season 3. I think that is completely undebatable. Uh,
Yeah.
no matter how you try to swing it. But USS Callister is probably in the top 5 episodes of the show. I'll say that comfortably.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
I think 1 and 2 are set in stone from last year, and then I think you've got USS Callister, and maybe a couple from season 1, or maybe one from 1 and 2, or one from 1 and White Christmas. But I feel like that's kind of
Yeah, yeah, I know. I get what you're saying. I think USS Callister is clearly the standout. I think
Yeah.
we're in agreement on that. It had so much potential and it capitalized in it and still had more potential left over. And that was 75 minutes maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah, like so that was long and it did so much with its time.
yeah. So just a quick spoiler section then. So full spoilers for the season as a whole. Okay, so the thing I wanted to mention about USS Callister, because we talked a lot about how the no genitalia represents the sexual frustration, and all the rest of it. I just want to point out as well, and I think at one point in the review I said something like they never went past the kissing because it would have started to feel uncomfortable, and it would have made it. I mean, it was already quite dark, but it would have taken away from the fun vibe that it otherwise had.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting, I still believe that, and I still think, because if they had genitalia and he like tried to abuse
Yeah,
them in further ways, it would have went super dark. But I think it would make it impossible to make the episode feel fun at any point because you'd be in this ultra dark world. I think the point I want to make though is what I think is really interesting is that I think taking away the genitalia, ironically becomes one of the funniest things in the episode.
It does.
So
yeah.
much humor comes from that, and I think that's really fascinating. That if you had that there, it would be what makes it super dark. But taking it away actually leads to all the humor, half the humor of the episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just think that's a really interesting point. I wanted to.
I think yeah. Also, I think it's got the most fascinating ending. I know there's actually been people saying, "Oh, they want a spin-off," and not necessarily like to be as a Black Mirror, but I've seen in interviews some producers of the show have gone, "Yeah, maybe." It's not like
them on the ship and their adventures.
them on the ship, yeah,
through
basically doing their Star Trek show with that crew as the
Oh,
cast.
which by the way, Jimmy Simpson was not on that bridge at the end of the episode. All right.
Hey, I didn't fight you that
No,
hard.
no, this is not you. This is not you. Comments, right? People who are so convinced I was wrong about that, I went back and checked, and I was goddamn right. I will happily accept when I'm wrong, but no.
I never did go back and check, but I said at the time I assumed he was, but I could have been mistaken. And all right, if I was mistaken, fine. But I didn't fight you that hard at the time. I don't think.
This is not for you.
No, no.
This is for the masses of people who said I was wrong.
But I would be down for a show of that
Oh, of
crew
course.
on a spaceship doing their adventures. That would be phenomenal.
I think it'd be so surreal to see Jimmy Simpson on Westworld, like at one part of the year, and then come back to Space Fleet or whatever we're going to call it.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be in it, would he? Because he wasn't there at the end.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I just argued that point. Yeah, he's not
Well,
actually.
yeah, by your whole logic, he wouldn't be there.
That's true. And none of the other people are hard to get. I don't think they're all relatively
Yeah,
free.
they're all reasonable.
Yeah, not big huge stars that you'd have. To
They're all TV actors.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not going to hold my breath for it. I don't think it's going to
No,
happen.
no, I
but
don't think it will. But if it did, yes, please. That would be amazing.
R-rated Star Trek in a virtual world sounds interesting.
It does, and especially like that with that crew there. They were a lot of fun together.
Actually, just to add on to that as well, something we never mentioned in the review because we never noticed when we watched it. Kirsten Dunst had a cameo.
Did she?
Oh, you didn't even read this comment. Oh, here you go.
I've skimmed the comments. I haven't read all of them.
Yeah, but yeah, she's in the office at one point, just sort of making tea or something like that. Like she's just there.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
I saw some. I didn't go back and check the episode itself, but I seen some screenshots to corroborate
Okay,
the.
yeah. Giving it another Fargo reunion.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's even more of a Fargo season 2 reunion. That's like 3 people from Fargo
Yeah.
at the very least. And it actually makes sense because when I googled this to find it, I actually discovered that she's actually engaged to Fat Damon in real life,
Oh, really?
which is delightful. I love the fact that they probably met on Fargo and they got this wacky like married couple relationship, and they actually ended
Oh,
up.
that's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a delightful bit of trivia.
That is delightful.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great end to this season.
It is. I think it says something that I said, let's do spoilers so we can talk about the whole season like this, and we've not mentioned another episode yet. We're just like, USS Callister, USS Callister, USS Callister.
I think that's the. I really. I need to talk about things in that one. You know, the especially if a spin-off could come to light, the idea of foul-mouthed Captain Melotti.
Which by the way, now admittedly, I've still only seen the first episode of The Orville. I don't want to watch any more of it. But just compare how good the F-bombs and stuff in... Not that there was F-bombs in The Orville because it's on Fox. They can't have F-bombs. But just... That had dick jokes on it. It had all these things. But it was just playing it as a straight Star Trek show, but with these jokes. Right?
Yeah.
It just... Like, how much better this was because the characters had reasons for being the way they were and there was context for it. Whereas, you know, the Seth MacFarlane humor on Orville turned me off watching any more of it. And, you know, I've heard there's some entertaining things.
I actually plan on going back and watching the whole season soon.
Interesting
Just
enough,
because
though,
I have to.
I saw basically someone actually pointed out what episodes of The Next Generation they were just doing remakes of. Like every episode almost is just a direct plot lift from one of those episodes.
That doesn't surprise me because before it started, Seth MacFarlane was very open in how much he loves Next Gen and how this was his Next Gen.
Yeah, but do your own plot. Like,
I think that's supposed to be the point, isn't it? It's supposed to be, you know, a that but stupid.
I can't get past the humour. I'm sorry. I know people like it.
No, I agree. That humor was rough and it was awkwardly timed. I'm hoping it got better over the season, and you know,
It honestly feels like the jokes were kind of because it's like Fox wanted a comedy, so he forced jokes in when he didn't really even need to want. He didn't want jokes. He just wanted to do Star Trek.
And this thing, I like some of his other shows, so I'm not against his humor in general.
I'm not necessarily against it. That said, after A Million Ways to Die in the West,
I admit I never had the courage to see this one.
oh boy, my opinion of his humour has plummeted with that, and then an episode of The Orville.
I like Ted, I like Family Guy, and I love American Dad.
Okay. I've never seen Ted, never seen American Dad. I've seen a fair bit of Family Guy. I enjoyed the first few seasons. I think up until like season 5 when they had their 100th and they kind of ended the whole Stewie wants to kill the mum plot. I was into it. And then it gets like, you should probably just end this now, it's just going on too long. Like, you're just, you know, going down these paths that I wasn't into. And it got kind of stale.
Fair.
I got kind of bored of it. I was like, I don't need to do more of this now. Five seasons was enough.
Watch American Dad. I think you'll enjoy American Dad.
Chances are slim. I won't promise anything.
Yeah, well, it's because you're a prick.
I'd much rather get to season 3 of Rick and Morty before I delve into any American Dad.
Do you know what? I still haven't finished season 2.
You should correct that.
I don't know if I will. I started season 2 in about late January of 2017.
Obviously.
Yes. I'm just clarifying. Someone might be watching this in the future and not realise when this went up. I don't know if I'll finish it. I think I watched like one episode a month for like 4 months.
Given the characters are loosely kind of meant to be joke versions of Marty and Doc Brown from Back to the Future, I find that I'm using it as something else that you have decided you just don't care about that much. Admittedly, I'm not that offended about Rick and Morty, but the fact that you don't like Back to the Future as much as you should is just a downright crime. So
you had to find a way to bring that up, didn't you?
Come on.
Here's the truth. I like USS Callister more than I like Back to the Future.
That is unbelievable.
God, you're a prick.
You asked for it.
Yeah, I suppose. You brought it up.
Poke the bear. Gonna get clawed. What?
That was atrocious.
Wasn't supposed to be that funny. It was just meant to be an analogy.
No, but just you. You is atrocious.
Okay.
You are, but not you is. But you get the point.
Aye. Is there anything else in the other episode you wanted to mention?
I'm just looking at what the episodes were. No, not necessarily spoiler. I think I went over a lot of my thoughts in general.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Obviously, we talked in depth about all the episodes in the reviews, so you can check all those out if you haven't seen them. But yeah, so there you go. USS Callister, best episode of Black Mirror of this is the season, and it is worth mentioning that this will be eligible in our awards at the end of 2018 because it came after we did the awards over Christmas and New Year's.
Yep.
admittedly, I'm not as confident that it'll be on as much.
I don't see it getting the best show in the same way it was
No.
the previous year.
I think, maybe Callister has a chance of in the top 10 best episodes of the year, but best show overall, I don't see being a thing for it.
I think it might be on. It'll probably be on there somewhere, depending on what else we get. Because we might not get Mr. Robot. Might not. There's other stuff that we're not getting. So it might be on there somewhere, but it's definitely not going to be the number one.
Yeah, but given what we wasn't number one last year.
Was it not?
No.
Did we not have it at number one?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought we did.
Mr. Robot won last year.
No, the last year that it was on here.
Yeah, Mr. Robot won last year.
Oh, okay. All right, fine. This must have been very high then.
Why did
Clearly
you?
I'm misreading.
That's a stupid question. Mr. Robot didn't win this last one.
I know. I'm blanked. Clearly. Oh, I don't know. That was 2 weeks ago now. What do I know?
Jesus. It wasn't even number 2.
Why not?
No, Stranger Things was number 2.
I think in hindsight, I'd have had that season 3 of that above Stranger Things. But no,
I don't know. It's weird to rank it against other shows that have serialized plots because
it is. Yeah.
Hey, that's the whole thing. So I think that's worth mentioning. That'll be eligible for the end of year awards. But hey, that's basically us. I think we're done talking about this. So there you go. Let us know what your favorite episodes were. Rank the episodes of the season. Rank the seasons. Did you love 4 more than 3? Less than 3? More than the other seasons? Blah 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 blah. All the usual stuff. Let us know in the comments. It's always interesting to see. Because I remember last year when people were giving us the rankings of season 3's episodes, I remember almost every possible order imaginable was there. The one we thought was the worst was at number 1 for some people. The one we thought, it was all over the place. It was
some people had San Junipero last, and I'm like, what is wrong with you people?
Yeah. You I'm not going to
be warned, those of you who put in USS Callister last.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care. It's fun to see. So, so let us know what you think. Like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mail_fuzz. If you want to support the channel and the show and everything we do here, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. If you're curious about what other Netflix shows are coming up soon that we'll be covering and reviewing, the last of the Travelers Season 2 reviews will be going up over the next day or so. So check out that if you've not. It's a good show. Coming up at the start of February, we have Altered Carbon, which is a science fiction show set in a futuristic city, which involves consciousness being transferred into other people or robots. So you can look forward
not a million miles away from a Black Mirror episode in itself then.
No. So that's the thing that's happening. It looks very expensive, so curious to see how that pans out. There's also a show 7 Seconds we're going to try in February. Jessica Jones is back in March, as is Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. So those are ones we know for sure we're at least trying, if not doing the whole thing. I mean, the season 2 is obviously we'll be doing, but and Altered Carbon I think is pretty likely. 7 Seconds, we don't know, we'll see, but we're trying it for the very least. We'll see what episode 1's like, and we'll go from there. So there you go, that's us. Thanks very much for watching or listening. I always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?